Yep. Yep. Definitely. Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my second one of the day and my last one. And good, good, good. Usually it's around about like 5 or 6, but there you go. I'll tell you what, the weather's been really, really, really good in the southwest. But the trouble is, it's always when it's hot, you can always guarantee all these flies and bugs come out. And I hate flies, I'm telling you. I hate them. I can't. I don't like flies. Do you like flies?
No, when it's too hot, that's the only. I'm the same as you. That's the only thing I hate about hot weather is all the flying insects that come out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, what I really want to talk about is a kind of like parents, how we treat our parents. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And some why I want to we did a I did a chat the other day about about parents and with somebody else, and they were telling me that this person is a dad of three, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the trouble is, what he finds is sometimes his parents don't. What can I say? Don't do. Sorry, his children don't do what he says. And the
What
trouble
they're
is,
told.
yeah. Do you ever get? Will you ever? Will you ever like that to your parents?
Um. Yeah, I think all kids are kind of like that with their parents at some stage. Do you know what I mean? I've had my parents say, "Oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that," and I've just gone against it. But then I think as you grow up, you start to look back on the things that they told you not to do and you didn't listen to, and then you're like, "Oh, actually, they had a point." But I think it all depends on what they're telling you to do. Like if they're telling you don't be out too late and you're not listening, then there's always going to kind of be repercussions or consequences for that. And I think that's what's really important is, there's this thing of people can't discipline anymore, and it's, I've personally, my mum's never brought me up that she'll hit me if I do something wrong. She'll just have a chat with me. Like she'll be like, listen, I told you not to do this, you've done it, this is the consequences, which might be like being grounded or not having my phone, when I was younger and stuff. But I think as a kid, you kind of, not all kids are the same, but for me, like I would kind of not do what I was told because I wanted the attention of not doing it
Right.
rather than doing what I was told and then it just being like, oh, you, to me, it's like you don't get any positive for doing what you're told. You don't get any extra attention. But if you don't do what you're told, then what happens is you get that chat, you get that consequence, but you're also getting their time and attention when you don't do it as well.
When you were younger, did you ever get any pocket money?
Yeah, so I did. It was a bit different though, like how me and my mum set up. So the pocket money thing would happen, um, but it wasn't like, oh, you have to do this to get that. I think that only really started when I was about 14 and I started like actually working and stuff. So like even though it was like a weekend job or a Saturday job and I was earning my own money, that was the way of because everybody says to me, your mum started you working young, and I'm like, well, no, technically 14, yes, to some people it is young, but to me, I managed to learn the value of money from a very, very young age. So it was more like you have to work to get the things that you want. And I think that's really helped me progress in like adulthood.
Right. Okay. Do you think some teenagers these days, so they get away with get away
Murder?
with anything? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Right.
know just for example, right? I didn't swear very much. Like I didn't swear being a kid, right? Obviously, as you get into being an adult, sometimes you do swear, but sometimes me and my mum will walk past kids with their parents and they're effing this and effing that, and I'm like, if that had been me, I would have genuinely got washing up liquid in my mouth. Do you know what I mean? Like I would have got a smack probably across the back of the head. Like, who do you think you're talking to? Like, I feel kids get away with murder and the level of respect is gone as well.
Right. Okay. Do you find that sometimes, like your friends or anything, what do they do? Do they kind of like take notice of their parents, or do they kind
I
of?
think it's kind of, to be honest, it's a bit harder now, right? Only because I am 23. So all my friends are either my age or older. And most of us really now are living on our own, or some of my friends have babies of their own. They're in their own house. They've got their own family. Do you know what I mean? It's all completely different. I think if you'd asked me that question at, say, like 16, 18, then the answer probably would have been that no, none of us really listened, to be honest. But it's all part of growing up, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've got a title here from my other part. It says, "Should older children respect their parents now they're older?"
So I think no matter what age you are, you should have respect for your parents, right? There was a time, and I'm not going to sit here and make myself sound like an angel. There was a time that I probably would have come across very, very disrespectful to my family. Um, and there was actually a point in time that my mum brought me up to respect my elders, like no matter what. And there was an argument that me and my mum had, and I can remember it was a few years ago. And she said, "You should respect me because you're my elder." And I says, "Nah, you haven't earned my respect." And, there's that whole thing of people should earn your respect. But what you've got to realize is kind of as I've got older and been through the things that I've been through, my mum basically, as all parents, they technically put their life on hold to have a child. Do you know what I mean? They stop everything that they did before having a child for 18 years to bring you up and to put absolutely everything into you. And if it wasn't for my parents, I probably wouldn't be what I'm doing. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. Like I wouldn't drive. I wouldn't be in a good job. I wouldn't know the value of money. I'd probably be in debt. I'd be hanging around with the wrong crowds and things. So I think it is really important that we respect our parents.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And sorry, this question gone. So
Yes, okay.
now you're older, and if you had children
Hmm.
yourself,
Hmm.
what would you say to them about respecting you? How to get respect from your children.
Um, I think I wouldn't obviously demand respect. I would kind of try and teach them that, you know, I I do agree with my mum, you should respect your elders, right? Because that's how I've been brought up. But I wouldn't kind of drill it into them that they have to respect me. I would put it in a way that you'd be teaching them what respect is, why they should respect people, and then obviously if they didn't have respect for me as a parent, then I'd be sat down going, right, okay, you're taking the mick out of me, or you're clearly not respecting me. Out of what I've taught you, why aren't you respecting me? Like, seeing as, all this stuff that's been happening. I think that's how I'd probably approach it, if I'm honest.
Right. Okay. Okay. And when you were younger, when you was with your parents yourself, did
Hmm.
you? What's the worst thing that you ever done? You don't have to tell me, but was it something you ever done, and all of a sudden your mum could kind of say, "Okay, I forgive you."
Um, well, I mean, even recently with the whole thing that I didn't speak to my mum for 2 years when I was with my ex-partner. Like, I completely isolated myself from my family. But the moment that we broke up, she was there right with me, and she said, "Listen, the 2 years is in the past. Neither of us are happy how it went, but you're still my daughter." Do you know what I mean? So I think that would be kind of a big example. But also, I mean, like, even when I was younger, I remember, like, I didn't think that this was such a big thing, but I was only like 6 or 7. And I had gone out on my bike with my friends, not telling my mum where I had gone to. And we came back and my mum was on the phone to the police because she thought I'd been kidnapped because I didn't tell her where I was going. So I ended up going back and I was like, what's happening? She was like, where did you go? And I was like, just to the park with my friends. She was like, you can't just get up and go. You need to tell somebody where you're going. Don't get me wrong, I was grounded for the day, but after it, she was like, the reason that we've done that is so you understand how important it is to let somebody know where you're going.
Yeah. Do you think communication matters?
Yeah, definitely. Communication is important with any relationship, I think, not just specifically with parents. Like, I'm very open with my parents with everything. And I think if we didn't have that relationship, it would be really, really hard for us all to work together in the house.
Okay, so how did you get on with everybody else in the house? Did you kind of have problems with everybody else being in the house? Were you jealous or
It was only me. I'm an only child. So it's
right?
just me, my
Okay,
mum, and my stepdad. So I didn't have siblings.
right. Okay. So really, then you didn't. So the trouble is, it was just you. I bet you found it really tough of being on your own. Did you?
Yeah, I think when we used to live in Essex, it was really, really easy because we were in like an estate with loads and loads of kids. When we ended up moving up to Southport, we were in a street that there was no kids, and that's when I started to find it hard because I was always surrounded by my friends and other kids in the estate, and then the next thing I know, I'm on a street that has no kids.
Right.
And then I was kind of sat there and I didn't have siblings, to play with and things.
Okay. Right. Okay. So, do you think that communication in relationships or in your family life is important?
I would say communication is key with everything because what you've got to think of is you can never assume anything. You can never assume how someone's feeling. You can never assume what someone's thinking. If people don't communicate, you're never going to know where you stand with each other. Like if my mum, for example, annoys me with something, I would rather say, listen, you kind of really did my head in with what you did there, like sort it out, rather than me sat there overthinking it or, not speaking to my mum or just not being very nice to her and things. I think communication is key. And that's where my relationship failed. Like the communication wasn't there. And no matter how much I tried explaining that communication is everything, it still didn't change. So
Yeah. Yeah. So now you're working, and now are you living on your own now? No, you're back with your mum.
back with my family for now, working, uni work, just building myself back up to where I need to be, start saving again and go from there. But I think now, which I was actually having this conversation with my mum the other day, I don't think I could live on my own. Right, not that I don't think I could live on my own. I don't think I would want to because I've been used to having people in the house with me. I think it'd be really, really lonely going from having someone in the house to having no one. See, like with my mum being in hospital last week, my stepdad was still here, the dogs were still here, but my mum wasn't. And just that one person not being there, like it made a huge difference. So I was like, I don't mind getting my own place. I know I'd be able to live in my own place, but I think it would be really, really isolating.
Right. Okay. So so really, then you don't really want to kind of move out your own place, not yet anyway, until
Not yet.
things get yeah,
Not
not
yet.
yet.
I think the only kind of way that I would really be looking at moving out is when I eventually find somebody that I'm with and we move out together. It's not that I don't want my independence. I think it's just I know that I probably wouldn't be comfortable. I'd be spending all that money every month to feel lonely and to not have anyone. So
Right. Okay. Okay. Last couple of questions. When you were younger, did you ever get in trouble with the police? And if you did, was it kind of, you know, what did your parents say?
never got in trouble with the police. My auntie was a policewoman, so I think if I got in trouble with the police, it most likely would have been her.
No, I brought the question up because what I'm trying to do is get two sides of the story with you about kind of like being, having a relationship with your parents. Like
Mhm.
where you're like a,
Yeah, I
like
wasn't
when
a
I was young,
rebellious kid.
yeah, that's it, yeah.
I
So
wasn't rebellious.
you wasn't, no,
Nope.
but you must have had some times, bad times, though.
Um, I'm trying to actually think. I don't think there was ever a time that I really went against what my mum said. Like, except for my relationship, she told me that the guy that I was with was a bit of a dick, and I didn't listen to her, and it ended up that he was. It just took me 2.5 years to figure that out. But apart from that, no, I didn't really rebel. I didn't stay out after she said, like, I would, again, communication's really important. So if I was going out and I was going to be home later than what she had said, I would just text her and say, listen, I am running a bit late, but I'll be home soon. Do you know what I mean? Having that communication makes it all a little bit smoother sailing.
Right, okay. Um, when you kind of like left school, what did you do when you left school? Did you go into a job or did you go to college after?
I went to college twice. So I went to college from the age of 16 to 18 to do my A levels. And then after I finished, I was going to go to uni. I had all my applications back to go to uni because I had passed everything. But I kind of sat back and was like, right, okay, what do I actually want from uni? And at the time, I was very much in that mindset of, oh, I want to go to uni for the party and I want to go to the uni for the socializing. It wasn't for the actual uni stuff. So I sat back and I says, right, okay, what should I do now? And I went back to college for 2 years and did travel
Right,
and tourism. So I did that, and then, but halfway through, we had moved up to Scotland. So when I was about 19, that's when I started full time work.
right, okay. And
So
when you started full time work, um, was it, I bet that was a big kind of like thing
wake
for
up
you,
call.
wasn't it?
It was a
Yeah,
big wake up call. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I'd been working, as I say, since I was like 14. So, but they were only like, so, Saturday girl in a hairdresser's, worked at a chippy on a weekends and summer holidays and kind of stuff like that. Going from that to full time work was a big shock to the system, especially even now. Like, I get up and I'm like, oh my God, like when I was in school, I said that I hated school. And now I would do absolutely anything to go back to school because it was just so much easier. Do you know what I mean? You can't, in school, you have to go, but you'd have your breaks, you'd have your friends, you could have time off and stuff like that. Whereas with work, yes, you've got holidays that you can take, but you can't wake up and be like, oh my God, I'm knackered. Like, I've just got no motivation. I don't want to go. Whereas you kind of can in school, to be fair. You can. With work, you can't. You just need to get up and get on with it. And of course, obviously, bills and stuff that come with it as well.
yeah. But I bet you're glad now because you're in a job, you're in a good job. I'm still waiting for my discount, by the way. With Sky. But you're in a good job. You probably can get what you want now with your clothes and stuff. And um,
I'm still in a tiny bit of debt, but that should be cleared by this month. I think my
all right,
main
that's all right.
priority at the moment is just I need to save my money. Because at the moment my problem was I I use my credit card way too much. Use it
Right.
way too much. And I was in a cycle that when I was getting paid, I was paying off the credit card, then I had no money left, so I'd use my credit card for shopping and petrol, and I'd be in the same boat every month. So I'm hoping to clear that off, and then that'll be me starting from scratch, and getting money back in my savings. But I think from October last year to like now, I've had all the spending that I've wanted to do, and I've had the consequences for doing it. I had myself in debt. Do you know what I mean? I had to pay off my debts. And that to me showed me, right, okay, it might have been fun while I was getting all this stuff, but the consequences of using money that wasn't mine to use is way harder. And you have
That's
to
what
work
I want to
way
talk. That's
harder.
what I want. That's what I want to talk about another day with you about debt and stuff. Not because
Hmm.
you've had debt. It's debt when you got like being a teenager. That's what I want to look
Yeah.
at. And when
Hmm.
you're younger. But I can understand. So because you, as a person, you've been through quite a bit.
Mhm.
And you're when I first saw you, you were a bit really down and
Mhm.
you really depressed and everything. So people out there at the moment, young people out there at the moment, going through a relationship that just broke up. What would you say to them to get back on their feet?
I think it's really hard to say it at the time, but and it sounds really cringy, but everything
Your
happens for a
boyfriend.
reason, right? Everything happens for a reason, right? I'll honestly sit here and say, as you said, the first time that we spoke, I was really miserable. I had just come out of a relationship. And recently, I've met someone else that's made me happier than what I was in a 2.5 year relationship. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean? And
congratulations. Well done.
I think it's just if you are one of those teenagers that's depressed after a breakup, you've got to look at it as, you know, that's only a chapter of your life. There is so many other chapters that are going to be there. And what you've got to realize is just because that chapter's shut, it doesn't mean that the rest of the book is finished. You just
Mm,
have to adapt what next steps you're going to take.
yeah. Well done. Okay, great. Thank you very much for joining me
No worries.
and see you again some other time. That was really,
Yes.
really good. Thank you very much. Thank
No
you.
worries. I'll
Bye
speak
bye.
to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. There you go, guys. I'm finished now for the day. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. We've got quite a bit on tomorrow, so join us then. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and stay safe. Bye bye for now.